Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Podnuts Pro. I am your host, Marvin B. And ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today by two, I'm going to call them good friends. I hope that they agree. The people that I've met in the last couple of years as part of the roaming conferences across the country. Keith Rosa of PC Medics of Richmond, and I just call her Napa Valley.
That works.
Out of New Jersey. Guys, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing awesome.
All right. So I don't really have much in a way of housekeeping. So while I'm just looking at the notes real quick, looks like nothing major has happened in the world of tech today. So let's just get right to our discussion. Who is playing music there?
Yeah, I'm working on that right now.
Me too.
The joys of a live show. All right.
There we go.
So Keith, let's start with you because you are out of Richmond, and I just had on a couple of weeks ago Kevin Boynton, who is also there in Richmond, and he is known as is it the computer doctor?
Yeah, I believe it's. I believe he's a computer doctor. Yeah,
and you're PC Medics.
Correct.
And did you guys know each other at any point before the last couple of years?
No, interestingly, I kind of got started or inspired to start from listening to the Tech Vets podcast, and I had reached out to Kevin, not knowing who he was at the time, and sent him an email to his business, essentially inquiring, "Hey, how do I get started?" And what I was hoping for was him to say, "Hey, come on down for an interview." At the time, that's what I was kind of hoping for.
Oh, you were trying to work for him.
But obviously, I didn't make that very clear because he said, "Hey, listen to Tech Vets and get a couple of laptops on eBay and break them and fix them," and that was really it. So I never actually met him until we were in DC at
Unconvention.
Thank you, Unconvention. And even then, unfortunately, he had to leave early, so I didn't really get to spend much time with him. Since then, though, we were able to sit down once to have lunch and just kind of, talk about life and family and business and so on. But
all right. And Napa, you are up in New Jersey near my good friend Tom Bull.
Yes. Well, he's down the shore, but we're in the same great state.
Yeah. And you, let's see, we met you in Chicago.
Yes.
At ITO Compass.
Yep. That's where we met.
And
the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. You made comments about me as a podcaster. I named you Napa Valley, and here we are. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to focus on is both of you are solo techs. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to try to make sure that I get some solo techs on and not always focus on MSP and enterprise and stuff like that, because listen, tech is tech. The other thing that I did not know, I knew that Ann was part-time, but I did not know that Keith was part-time. So we get to have a nice, great discussion. Both of you solo techs, both of you part-time, and should be a good discussion.
I agree.
So now let's start with the fact that you both have full-time jobs. Mm-hmm. And let's find out what it was that made you decide to start doing this. And I know that, Keith, you started 5 years ago?
Yes, 2014. I guess technically it's 6 years now.
Okay.
I believe it was, 14 to 15. Yeah, so as you and I was discussing last night, at the time I was transitioning work, even lines of work. I was moving from food service back to retail, automotive retail. And in the interim, of course, I've always been dabbling with computers and tech and this and that and breaking it and fixing it and breaking it and fixing it. And I thought, having listened to the podcast of tech vets, my confidence level was fairly strong because I heard Mike and Carrie talking about different things, and I, realized they helped me to get an understanding of my abilities and my level of confidence in completing certain break fix things. So I said, well, what the heck, this is an opportunity for me to create a business, be, legit in that sense. And then with that, once I have a legal entity, I can actually go out and try to sell myself. I can market myself and sell services versus just as, posting something on Craigslist for $20 or something silly. So sitting at home, I hopped online one night with the state corporation commission, paid my fee, and 15 minutes later, I have an LLC. It really was just that simple. Then, of course, I took the further steps to, get the business license with the county, and here I am years later.
All right. Now, Ann, this is even newer for you. So what prompted you to make the jump?
Technically, it's not actually newer for me. It's just...
It's just what?
It's just super duper low key for a long period of time. How's that?
Okay, that works.
Consistency.
Yeah, I'm consistent.
All right.
I don't know. I've just always been like the computer person, in my family, in my group of friends. It's just always been my thing. Back in the day, I was a programmer, so I've just always been around technology. Not that you know anything about repairing computers by programming, but it was just, I was familiar with computers, and I just started dabbling with them. I think I probably registered my LLC, I'm going to guess like 2004, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that magically I would just like register an LLC, throw up a website, and, people would be coming in. And that hasn't really been the case. So I work full-time as a tech too. I'm a tech for a school district. But yeah, here I am.
Okay. All right. So doing it part-time. Now, I don't know if both of you know my full story, but I never wanted to be a tech. I thought I was either going to be a pro football player, pro basketball player, president, something.
Aim high, Marvin.
So, I was always on that side of the aisle. And when I went to school, computer people were geeks and nerds, and I didn't want to be one of those. But somehow I always ended up being good at it. Here I am. And so one of the things that I remember when I started, I left the computer store, and I, even though I focus on business now, wasn't always the case. I did take whatever business came my way. And there was a lot of work in terms of, handing out flyers. And I don't think I did any cold calling because I had already done a bunch of business networking in terms of groups. So I had those types of things, but it was a struggle to hustle in the beginning. So can either of you guys talk about how you've been making that transition to, ramp up the business, or even if you have goals to ramp up the business?
Keith, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I very much was like Ann. I said, I got my LLC, and hey, let me spend a couple hours with GoDaddy, and I have a website, and they're all going to come. And that's not really the way it works at all. It was some sort of pipe dream I had that just never came to fruition because it was a pipe dream. So you got to do some marketing. You got to do some sales. You got to do something. I will not do cold calling. I just don't foresee that really for residential. But I have done grassroots marketing, postcards on windshields at the baseball game, postcards at the hospital. Hey, thank you for working so hard during COVID-19. Flyers on people's mailboxes. I've tried Facebook ads, or a ad, and now working with Google AdWords, which is getting some traction for me. But it's not easy because you don't have, speaking for myself, you don't have a budget. You don't have money to pay someone to do any of this. You don't have so much time to truly and wholeheartedly contribute to it, trying to find the work, family, life, business balance. And so you have to get creative, and not having any experience in marketing, advertising, I struggle with, things that I can do that might yield results at minimal cost, because, you can't afford to spend but so much and get no results. It's, obviously that wouldn't be sustainable. And as a small one-man show part-time, working on a shoestring budget, looking for, caviar dreams.
Anne?
When you talked about putting flyers on mailboxes, I've told this story before, but it was years ago. I got neon paper, made these flyers, went around putting them on mailboxes, and they bled on people's mailboxes. And some people really liked their mailboxes and were really unhappy with me that their mailbox had bright pink ink on it. So I got a few unhappy people calling me, and I had to go out with Mr. Clean Magic Erasers and clean mailboxes. But yeah, don't do that.
Did it rain? Is that what it caused them to
I
bleed?
think it did. So yeah, but I mean, even if it didn't, I remember it was warm out. So, vacation season, if they're away for a week and you put a flyer on their mailbox, you better make sure it doesn't bleed. As far as other marketing, I think, honestly, I'm probably afraid to be too aggressive because of that balance, right? So I'm just hoping like the organic business fairies will just make everything happen magically, and it'll be a nice fit for me, and I'll just get word of mouth and everything will turn out great. And that hasn't happened. So I think I need another plan.
Well, as Dr. Phil would say, how's that working out for you?
Exactly.
Wow. So Napa, is there a goal to do this full-time and move away from your other full-time gig, or?
Probably not. I work in a school system, so I have a pension.
Okay.
So it's really hard to give up a pension. I'd have to make a lot of money to make up for a retirement that's going to last me until the day I die.
Okay.
But how far are you from collecting that pension?
I can collect in 10 years, but I'd be, better off waiting 13. But I mean, it's guaranteed money for life. You don't get that with a 401k. You don't get that with anything else. So, I don't think I want to do it full time.
All right.
Maybe when I retire, if somebody wants to hire an old lady to fix their computers.
If you do a good job, why not?
Exactly.
All right. So let me ask you a question. Both of you talked about the work-life balance, and I have to imagine that it's a little bit different for both of you, having the full-time job, having a part-time job, having families. I know that for me, this is my full-time job. I've got my family. I consider podcasting a part-time job, and I find it difficult for me to do that work-life balance. What is it like for you guys? Because it sounds like it takes a little bit more hustle to do the side gig.
I agree. Like, I think for my full-time job, it's easier because unlike you, I'm off the clock. The clock strikes whatever schedule I'm on. Now it's 2:30. I'm done. I don't bring it home with me. I don't think about it. And that's a luxury that you don't have as
That is true. Yeah.
As a business owner. And then the other part, I'm kind of selfish with my time. So I wanted to fit in where I can. But I got a lot of free time right now. So I'd like to have a little bit more business on the side business.
All right. Do you find yourself like turning away business because it's inconvenient? No. Is that a luxury you have? Or I'm just
not a luxury I have.
No, the only time business for me gets turned away is when scheduling doesn't match up and I can't, fulfill their timeline.
Right.
Okay.
And my biggest challenge, I'm guessing, Anne, is Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Being in a retail setting, sometimes it's nights, sometimes it's weekends, 2 days off a week, which is never consistent. So today I'm off and I'm off on Friday. So that worked out well. I can try to have, collect devices from people on Wednesday and get it back to them on Friday. But it doesn't always work out that way. And of course, I try not to work at all on Sunday. So I have a designated day of not working, if possible. But I do put, when it comes to that though, I do put PC Medics first, because if someone comes in with a broken laptop screen, once I have a screen, I'm in and out in an hour, or really less, hopefully. So even on a Sunday afternoon, I mean, I can bang that out without being too disruptive to the day or to the family. But generally speaking, it's very hard because someone will call and say, hey, can I drop it by today at 4:00? And I'm working 9 to 5 on that particular day, or I'm working 11 to 8. So no, not at all. Sorry, sir. So, let's make other arrangements. And sometimes by the time that happens, they've already moved on to someone else.
One thing I do have, I don't know if you can do this. I have a porch area with a little roof over it, and I have a big box. And I didn't think that this would fly with people. I have not met any resistance to it. But I tell people you can drop it off whenever they want. The box is there. It's covered. Just, send me a text. Let me know it's there, and I'll come out and get it as soon as I can. And I have not had one person complain about that setup, shockingly.
What kind of box?
That's something
just
to think
like
about.
A big, like a tough box, like something that would go in the bed of a truck almost, like with a lock on it. I think it was my husband's from a pickup truck. So it has a lock on it, not that I keep it locked. And I mean, I'm in a quiet community on a dead end. That helps too. And people just put their whatever, put it in there, and I pick it up. So that way that helps with the convenience for them. But I really am surprised that nobody's had a problem with it. Shocked.
What were you going to ask, Keith?
Oh, no, that's a good idea. I'll have to give that consideration or look into that. But, on the flip side of that, today for the first time, and it's got me thinking about this whole concept of people coming to the house, being home, not only solo tech part-time, home-based. That Google Ads, again, thus far has been fruitful for me over the past few weeks. And I had a gentleman reach out to me today saying, hey, here's my issue. He said, can I bring it by? I said, yeah, come on down, because I'm off today. Perfect. And he gets to the house, he parks out front, and he calls me. And he questions if he is the right address. I said, yeah, you're here. You're at the right place. He said, oh, yeah, well, I'm in a residential area. I said, yep, come on in. So I walked out front, and I met him. I greeted him. And, because of COVID, we both have our masks on. And because of COVID, I'm not having anyone in the house. It's just, that's the way it is right now. Normally, I would invite him in, and we'll sit him down at the desk or the dining room table, what have you. So sit down, and I start entering his information into Repair Shopper, my ticketing system. And he's like, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable with this. I said, okay, I can respect that. I can understand that. And, what's your name? What's your address? Da-da-da. He's like, yeah, I really don't. I said, I get it. Not a problem. I said, but just because I'm based out of the home, there are plenty of home-based businesses that doesn't decrease the legitimacy of the business. So he took his laptop and he left. He just wasn't feeling it.
Is that the first time that you've come across that? Yes. Have you ever felt it without it being so blatant?
No, I haven't. Because I had a lady come by today. Just walk right up. Here you go. Peace out.
Is it more people I'm sorry, Marvin. Is it more people in your town, or is it like, I don't know how like your town is? Is it like a town feel to it, or is it
no? We're county based. Well, you're not county based. So we're county based, and we got roughly 250, 260 in the county. Our little neck of the county here that we're in is a relatively affluent part of the county. It's a very old part of the county, but our particular subdivision goes back to 60s, I think. Small houses, small pieces of property, and not a direct reflection of the surrounding area. But like you, I'm on a 10-house dead-end cul-de-sac, very quiet neighborhood. So, it's not like I'm in a sketchy part of town, right, or, living in some raggedy apartment or something. So, no, I haven't seen that before. I was a little taken back by that. I wasn't really sure how to feel. There's a part of me that was offended. There's a part of me that understood, his stance on that. So, I have mixed feelings on it.
I was actually thinking that, like, Marvin, you and I spoke a little bit about it a while ago. Maybe I need to change my marketing to be more me and less the business, because when people come, it is me and it is my house and it is more personal. And maybe I need to accentuate that instead of trying to cover it up and, I'm Tech RX or I'm Tech New Jersey, whichever I decide to do.
Right.
Like maybe I just need to go with I'm Ann, and I'm local and you can count on me and I'm dependable. And yeah, you're coming to my house, but I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for a long time.
I was going to ask, in terms of target customer, do you actually have a target customer? Is it residential? Is it computer repair? Or do you take business? And I mean, that may help the expectation. So starting with you, Keith, going back to your person, was it just a home repair and residential?
Yeah, presumably he found me on Google and reached out to me with a laptop issue. So it was residential. It was his son's laptop. Everything I get, with a couple exceptions of odd calls to fix their car, everything's residential.
Okay.
I'm not getting any business calls, which I'm okay with. So my target audience, yes, is residential. I think I'm at a price point, and the zip codes that I specifically chose on Google is kind of solid in terms of socioeconomic.
Okay.
As a whole. As for age, race, gender, I don't care, as long as you got a problem and you're willing to pay my rate, and your payment's valid, I'm okay with that.
All right. And what's your target?
I would residential. I have had a couple of business customers. I had to give up my last one when I changed jobs, and it just didn't work. They needed me during the day. Their hours were shorter. So because I used to teach too.
Right.
So my hours were different then.
Okay.
But I definitely residential would be my target.
Okay. So in response to Keith's story and your question, Anne, I do think that marketing does play a part of that, but not as much as people think. People's expectations are their expectations. I mean, you're not going to know what they are. And the gentleman, even though, he would have been okay with you, he knows your PC medics, he knows that, talked to you on the phone, but just the whole idea of maybe walking into a house, people still expect, retail establishments to some degree. And it's weird because I'm on the opposite spectrum of that. I worked hard to make sure I had an office, because my clients were businesses. And I was frustrated with somebody showing up thinking I was, a one-man shop working out of his house.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on their level.
Exactly.
And have them walk up and, now, for instance, you mentioned the, not being tied to a time clock. I had to wait here after work today because somebody needed to drop off 3 iPads and a phone. And she came to the office and she was like, "Oh, well, you got a nice little office there. I didn't think it would be this nice." And it's, she worked for a medical place. So perception for her meant something.
Absolutely.
Whereas I have some that could care less. But I have worked out of the house, and I did that for 3 years, but I've always other times tried to have a separate residence. So if I had a townhouse, I always tried to rent another townhouse unit so that it wasn't my place.
Yeah.
So in terms of, expectations, one, you don't know what they are unless you ask or they say something. And I wouldn't worry about it, Keith. If that's the first time that's happened, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to lose sleep over it by any means. But, in the moment, like I said, I had mixed feelings about it. But, an expression I use all the time is, what are you saying? Expectation? Oh, a perception. Perception is reality, right? So if they perceive me to be, the computer god, then that's who I am to them. Even if I suck at it, that's the way they're going to perceive me, right? So perception is reality. So if they perceive that the home-based business is not so legit, then, like you said, I'm not going to fix that. Certainly not in a 60-second interaction with this guy.
Right.
If they'd rather bring it to Staples and have somebody who makes $12 an hour fix it, have at it.
Right. And that's what, some people had chimed in on a Facebook post, about that was, let them go to a brick and mortar and pay, twice as much of what you were going to reasonably charge the guy for it. But going back to what Ann said, I agree with her in terms of, the marketing and how you phrase things, because a question that was raised to me is, do you have a website to try to prove, so when people are trying to find you, like, how legitimate are you? Are you a Craigslist kind of guy? Or you have a business? So I have the website, but on the website, does it say us and we, implying that I'm bigger than I am? Or does it say I and me? And right from the very beginning, I think that can influence people's perception of you and your business. And I don't know, I got to go back and look at it now.
I remember having being such a conundrum when I was setting it up. I'm like, I'm not comfortable being anything other than what I am. I'm really uncomfortable putting on pretenses. So I don't know how I wound up doing. I don't remember I have to go back and look myself because I don't remember. I think I might have gone with we just because that's what you're supposed to do. But you know what? I think I have to just be like, this is who I am, and it's going to be the right fit for somebody.
Right. And I agree with that, so much so that I'm going to go back and change my stuff if it's not right, because historically I've always made a point to use we and us so I could sound bigger than the one-man show, because most people don't want to go to the one-man show. They want to go to an organization, right? An organization that's not just me.
I agree.
But I think you're onto something in terms of that's your selling point. Hey, I'm just Ann. I'm just the local gal who can help you out and get you taken care of, and personal service, and come on over to my house, be my friend. And Dr. Dave was with Marvin a week or so ago, and I remember that was one of the things he kind of said, like, he likes to get to know people. He wants to have that personal relationship, that one-on-one, and that's a selling point for so many people, because once I actually get people on the phone and have a conversation with them, they're liking what they hear.
Exactly.
And this guy was a quick conversation, but like, I had a lady earlier today who called me with a Microsoft Office issue. And I spent about 15 minutes on the phone with her, talking to her, trying to figure out what the heck she was trying to tell me, what her issue was. And I said, okay, I have an understanding. Let's get you set up for a remote. So I'll call you back in a couple hours. We'll get you on a remote session. She sends me an email later and says, oh, hey, I figured out the problem. I found what I needed. I'm good to go. So when I spoke to her, though, she said, I really felt confident in you. You sound like you knew what you were doing. I'll definitely call you next time. And well, that's great for next, obviously I didn't get a sale today, but, I was able to, since I spent a little time with her, I was able to kind of start to build a relationship, or at least a rapport, with the lady who I never met before.
Yep.
So, that's can and is a selling point. We just, now that we're talking about it, I just need to market it in such a way.
Right.
I want to make note of a couple of things in the chat. First of all, I believe Jen is related to you, Keith.
I don't know how she knows that I'm here, but yes.
So, but I really wanted to get to two things that Tom said. And he basically says that he's right there with you, part-time computer business, home-based, with a full-time job. But he thinks that Google reviews help eases people's minds dropping off at home. So that could be something that, as they're perusing and looking, if they see that you've got a ton of reviews and people have used you and people have liked you, maybe that'll help as well. And then he says, I feel you can use us and we because the vendors I use are an extension of my business. Now, I will say that is definitely what I do. And I do it for many reasons. I do use us and we, partly because I have subcontractors that I can send out if I'm not available. My clients have offices in other cities, so I have to have an extension of myself in those cities. So I have relationships with techs there, but I also have the vendors that if I can't do something right away, I've got the vendors that are behind me to support me. The best example that I use all the time is Datto. I have law firms where we have Datto appliances, and I tell them, look, we're going to take care of you. And if there's ever an issue with your backup, there may be times where I can't fix it right away. And if I can't fix it quick, I can simply open a ticket or call. and somebody there will work on it until it's fixed. So you don't have to rely on me to take care of every little detail. I have people behind me that'll do that. So that helps as well. So those things where people feeling comfortable, and even businesses can like working with a solo tech. Mm-hmm. All my companies know that, in the actual infrastructure, it's me.
Right.
But I have extensions to help take care of stuff. They like being able to call and talk to me.
One guy.
You know my stuff. You remember things from 3 years ago. Today somebody called, and actually the lady that dropped off the phone, one person today, they apparently had some power surges in their office, and some of the battery backups apparently aren't working. So some people went down, but then they came right back up. But one girl did not come up. And when they called, they're like, the computer's not working. We don't know what's wrong. And it's on, but it's not connected. And so as we're talking, she says, well, the phone's not working either. And I say, okay, well, I know where that person is. And I know that that person is running their computer network connection through the phone. So take the phone out of the equation. Oh, computer's working, but the fact that I knew that, and how many times do they call, a big help desk company, that isn't going to remember that off the top of their head. So that helps me anyway.
Well, and I agree with reviews, whether it be Google or Yelp or HomeAdvisor or whatever, because we all look at reviews. I mean, myself included. I'm sure you guys are no different with that. How much weight you put on it, but everyone looks at reviews, and not just the number of stars, but sometimes we'll go through and we'll start reading through comments and see what people had to say about that product or that service. So I agree with that with Tom 100%. But that unto itself is a unique challenge. How do you get those reviews when you have a client base that's small, and half of my clients are elderly and they don't even know what a browser is, even though they get online, they actually, they don't know what that is. I can't get them to do a review. So I've gotten a few reviews over the past couple of weeks, essentially since the birth of Google AdWords. Some have been organic, some have been kind of poked and prod from people I've worked with before. But I have a few now. So to step in the right direction, but even that, again, takes time.
That actually was one of the things when I was debating between the two names, because I own both domains, that I have reviews for one, but I'm going to lose them when I go to the other. So that's confusing. I don't know if Google will let me merge the two of them. If I can, claim to own both domains. Hey, I was this, but now I switched to that. Can my reviews come with me?
I think you can. Don't hold me to that.
It's something I have to look into.
I think you can.
But yeah, I agree. Reviews are important. But as far as the us and the we, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a direction I want to go in, just because it doesn't feel comfortable to me, and it's not who I see myself selling to. Like I don't think I'm going to be doing businesses, so I don't think I need to worry about that part of it. I think I need to be, somebody that from town, somebody who's been here for 19 years that you can depend on, that, like you said, is going to remember, oh yeah, you had this problem or that problem, and you have this computer. So I think that you guys are helping me decide. I want to probably shy away from that. Just for me. Not that it's not right for a lot of people. I just don't know if it's right for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Anne. I think I feel the same way. I understand what Tom is saying and what Marvin is saying, that, I view my vendors as an extension of. I can see that. I don't feel that way from me, though.
Right.
Marvin has a list of subcontractors, and that would make me feel different if I use these guys regularly and not just, hey, I call this guy once a year.
Yep.
But, my vendors, I don't really have vendors. I know the guys at Malwarebytes, but I wouldn't say that I have vendors other than Amazon, and that's not really a vendor. So for what Tom is saying, again, I understand what Tom is saying, but I don't feel that way for me as to view those, my vendors, my contacts, the different accounts I have to purchase this or that, as an extension of me.
And it may change in the future,
Maybe so, right?
But for now, I don't think that's where I am.
Well, I would advise both of you to always be you, period.
I've gotten that advice before.
It's good advice. It's good advice. I mean, that's what I do, even though I have a different model than other people. I got to be me. There's a reason I don't have techs anymore, because there's a part of me that doesn't like dealing with techs who, if they're not motivated, get out. So I've modeled my business to the point where I know what I can handle, I know what I can sub out, and I'm at the point where I might go back to having a tech, but I'm not forced to.
Right.
At least not yet.
Yep.
So I like what I'm doing now. As the rent keeps going up here, I may have to reconsider, because it's a lot of money to maintain an office this big. But we'll see how that goes. I want to go back and ask a question. When we talked about the reviews, one of the things, I myself don't use reviews. My website sucks. I don't market.
You have those organic fairies I was talking about.
Yeah, organic fairies. But I also do read reviews when I'm looking at stuff, but I read reviews, I look at them differently. Like, I don't care how many reviews you have or what the rating is, but what I do is I look at the 1s and 2s and see why they're 1s and 2s. How do you guys look at reviews?
I do the same thing. And I have to say, like, most of the time, the 1s and 2s, they're not the most well thought out reviews. Like, they're complaining about the dumbest things. Yeah. If there's a preponderance of more favorable reviews, the 1s and 2s are usually, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're one of those people. It doesn't matter. I'm going with the better reviews.
Well, I do look at amount of reviews. So if you have 5 stars and you get 3 reviews,
yeah,
that's not going to carry any weight. But if you got 2,000 reviews and you have, 4.2 stars, I'm more inclined to take that guy. But again, just looking at reviews, right? I'm more inclined to focus my attention on that one than I am the other guy who had 5 reviews and 5 stars
on Google.
Or whatever it is.
It depends on what it is. Like, if it's, if you're buying something on Amazon, the number of reviews is so obviously inflated on so many products that doesn't mean anything. But Google, I think, I don't know, last time I checked, they seem to be doing a pretty good job that you had to be a verified Google account holder and your name was going to be on that. And it seemed a little bit more like they put a little more effort into it.
I don't really use Google all that much. Well, I mean, I don't Google to find for reviews. I don't use Google reviews. I really don't.
For businesses?
I don't. I mean, how many businesses do I use, right? So I don't have so many services here at the house, right? I have cable, which that's already a done deal. Sign up, done, right? We have our utilities, done. We have our bug guy.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Hi,
you
Carrie.
Saw that pop up in the chat. I gotta show that for you.
So, and we have our when one contract that comes in, and I'm not even sure how we found them. Like the bug guy displays precautionary, right? I'm not even sure how we found them, but I don't.
Word of mouth.
Probably so, or maybe we get a flyer or something, but it definitely wasn't through me doing a Google search. Perhaps my wife did, as she's made that clear. But I don't. As for products, if I'm purchasing something, I'll look at those reviews. But as for services, I'm not really finding services on Google. Last services that we really contracted for was a bathroom remodel, and that went through HomeAdvisor. Now there I read reviews, but it wasn't through Google.
You see, my husband's an electrical contractor, so I have a whole nother view on HomeAdvisor, but that's the story for another time.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. No. I want to hear this. Because I used HomeAdvisor a while back for roof repair. And
I did a roof for them too.
And it wasn't as bad as I thought.
No, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm saying that so often when a contractor does a job, there's tension between the homeowner and the contractor. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of homeowners that if everything, that will complain about a lot of things that aren't legitimate, and they can ruin a business. Like he has an awesome business. Like his customers love him, but he's gotten like 2 Home Advisor reviews and one of them was terrible. So then that brings him way down. Because the person, when he was trying to schedule something and like they slept late, so could he come later? And it was just something, it was ridiculous. It was preposterous what they were complaining about.
Well, let me ask this.
Yeah,
and
but
the reason
I'm sorry, Mark, but those reviews could be on Google as well. That's not just specific to Home Advisor.
Yeah,
but I think
what it
Home
was.
Advisor punishes you more for bad reviews. Is that correct?
I think so.
He just shied away from it. He doesn't do anything with them whatsoever.
Because I know Angie's List, that was a big complaint, is that if you got a negative review on Angie's List, that literally, dug a hole for you that you couldn't get out of. And there was no recourse for the contractors. Now, the reason I'm asking that is I know that, Amazon has been pushing home services for computer repair shops, and I'm getting tired of them emailing me or whatever, seeing if I want to be listed on their service. No, I don't. Sorry, Amazon, you're good for a lot of things, but I don't want to be good for that. But I know that that's going to be a big thing soon. And, moving through this COVID, reopening of America, there's going to be a lot more people working from home, a lot more opportunities for, computer repair people to be out in the industry. So I just wanted to kind of get a feel for, what do you guys see with those types of platforms? Obviously, neither of you guys are advertising your services through those, but do you see your competition doing that?
I haven't looked. I'm familiar with the Amazon services or whatever they call it. I've gotten their emails before. I've looked at it. I considered it briefly until I saw what they were paying, and then I said it's not. That could be a springboard to grow in the business, kind of get my foot in the door and get contacts. But that, from what I understand, that like every other subcontractor that you could be, you're not allowed to promote yourself. So I don't know factually because I didn't look into it enough, but I suspect that if you market your services on Amazon or Amazon sells your service for you, that you show up as Amazon repair service. And I can't say, well, hey, I'm actually PC Medics. That'd probably be a breach of the agreement.
Okay.
And therefore, how long can I last trying to do that under the radar and kind of sneak in and say, hey, by the way, I am do this. Here's my job. Here's what I do. Here's my card before it catches up to me and Amazon kicks me out. And their labor rate is low, just like all the other ones, Workforce or these other emails I get.
Field Nation.
Yeah, all those things. Yeah, it's not. Part of me says it's not worth my time to work for that kind of money, and there's a part of me that says, well, it's money. It's something to put into the business bank account to build up to then use the money for XYZ.
That's a good point. My first inclination is that like when I see and perception is reality, the contractors that work for Home Depot to me are subpar compared to contractors who don't work for Home Depot. So if you're subbed out from somebody else, I feel like it's like you can't really get your business going, so you have to do this. And, it's so, but then like he said, money's money. So I don't know. You gave me something to think about there. It's normally something I think initially my knee-jerk reaction would be to shy away from it, but maybe I need to consider it a little more.
Well, the reason why I would consider it is because, like Marvin said, like Amazon and Google both, right? They're taking over the world. They're taking over the internet at the very least, right? And people, I'm not sure how much time, but in due time, people are going to be turning towards Amazon to find services. Right now, I don't think enough people know that Amazon offers services. They go there to buy product, to buy stuff, and not services. And I think in time, when people start to realize that more, they will utilize it. And at least as the small guy like Ann and I, if we're not on board, then we're going to be passed over. So
isn't that going to be the case though with a lot of things? I mean, Amazon, Google, Office Depot, Staples, they're all providing computer services now, right?
Yeah, but I think Office Max, Staples, Geek Squad. No, I frankly I dismiss all three. That they're The quality of service they provide is less than what the three of us and everyone else in our community is going to provide, and it's exuberantly priced, and the results are mediocre at best. I'll say it.
Do other people feel the same way?
Perhaps those that don't probably haven't stepped out of that box, out of that brick and mortar box, and gone to their local guy to experience that.
Well, that could be the experience they're used to, and they're okay with it. I mean, I remember when I was in the computer repair store, I mean, it was standard practice to tell people, you're going to get your computer back in a week. Wow. And the thing about it was every other computer repair store in the area did the same thing. Now, we would say that, and then we had an internal goal to have everything back within 48 hours.
And then you were superstars.
And then It was great, so that's what helped us. But I don't see those types of things where, look, bring it to us. We'll do it if we can. If not, go somewhere else. It's like they don't care anymore. I don't know if it's because.
Yeah, well, I get several, or I've had several calls. Several people reach out to me to fix XYZ in frustration because Staples didn't come through in one form or another, or couldn't get the job done, or Geek Squad, I hear that several times, doesn't come through. Or Geeks, they even have the maintenance plan with Geek Squad, but Geek Squad can't do anything for them for 2 or 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I believe that. I think Geek Squad is overtaxed because those guys are trying to do everything. They're trying to do PC repair. They're also trying to do home audio.
Yep.
Home Wi-Fi and all that stuff, and it takes time. I had a question and I forgot, but while I'm thinking of the question, I wanted to go back. Tom had made another comment to respond to every review your business gets, good or bad. And I think that does play a part in stuff. Now, I don't know or understand why Carrie wrote Groupon.
Oh, well, the one before that, when she says I read a lot of reviews, I do, but it's not on Google. It's doing a search for, hey, I'm interested in this product. Let me check out this product, and I get like true reviews of someone doing a review of it, and not just the average. In essence, a more higher end or sophisticated, a professional review, and not just the end user doing a, hey, I didn't like the way the keyboard worked kind of thing. As for Groupon, I think she's saying maybe she found the exterminator on Groupon.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really sure what that is.
Okay.
But to that point of Groupon, I tried Groupon for PC Medics.
Yeah.
And it got nothing. It got nothing.
Mm.
So I gave up on it. And the money they want to take from you is roughly 50 to 60% of what I would normally bill. So I said, screw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they have a thing where you have to offer a discount? It can't be your regular price, and then they get that huge percentage.
Right.
Which I'm like,
so essentially, they want you to mark down your $100 service to $50 to sell it on Groupon, and then they're going to take half of that $50. So you will walk away with $25 for your $100 service. I'm taking a 75% loss.
And you think, like, for residential, there isn't as much repeat business, so somebody might use you and then you don't hear from them again for a few years. So it's not like a foot in the door where, like I have this customer and I'm going to be their go-to person, because maybe you just did like data recovery for them. You grab some stuff off their hard drive and then they're fine for the next few years. What kind of investment is that?
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I don't do Groupon. I tried it because there's like no upfront cost kind of thing, but it yielded me zero results, so I just dropped it altogether, and I didn't waste my time with it anymore. As for fix something and they don't come back to you for 2 weeks or 2 years, whatever, I agree with that too, because if I did my job and I did it well, then you're not going to need me, at least for that problem, for a long time.
Right.
And that's where, we hear the term all the time, monthly recurring revenue. And I only say it like that because, it doesn't have to be monthly. It can be weekly. It can be annual. Anyway, but recurring revenue, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's something I'm not good at. I use Kabuto as my RMM. And even that, I think we use that term loosely with Kabuto. But that's what I have because my volume only supports that. And for me, it's annual recurring revenue, but somehow I got to get better at selling that service of maintenance, right? Whatever that is, so that I don't get that phone call once a year or once every 3 years. From that one client, I know that I need to try to sell that RMM. I just have a tough time doing it, and I think it's a combination of me not really knowing how to sell that,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that most people I run into just aren't willing to do that, because they don't really see the true benefit, no matter how I try to, sell it. And I'll tell you what, sitting here, if I was the consumer, I would say, no, probably not. Boom, I got my antivirus running. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So, I get it. It's a very hard sell, and I think it's an uphill battle to sell that.
Do you think it's really necessary, though? Like, I know it's potentially, a good thing to have, but do you think it's a requirement? It's something that you have to do?
In terms of what?
In terms of your business, in terms of,
No. I don't feel obligated as a business owner to do that. I don't feel obligated to the business to do that. But again, it's that monthly recurring revenue, so that if that's coming in, if that stream of revenue is coming in from that handful of customers, clients, then I don't need to be, fighting tooth and nail to get 1 million new clients every week, every month, every year, because I have something. I know I'm going to have that coming in, and I know that those guys are going to call me when anything comes up, whether it's within or outside the scope of the RMM and that agreement, because they already have me on speed dial. So that for me, the monthly recurring revenue, yeah, that's great, but I think that it locks me in that they're not going to call anyone else should something come up.
That's a good point. Tom Bull wants you to reach out to him. Apparently I can't. Whatever,
yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah. Our good friend Tom Bull, who also made a couple of points earlier when we were talking about Geek Squad and response time. They are saying near him 6 to 8 weeks for repairs, and an Apple store is still closed. So let me do a quick transition, because I really don't have much to offer on residential RMM. In this time of the COVID, we are now entering month 3 of that. For me, not much changed. Obviously, I didn't go on site as much, but the bulk of my work was remote anyway with my clients. So, and even though I have a hybrid model in terms of managed service, most of them are not actually contracts, meaning if they decided not to pay, I've got a couple of clauses where I can get, money and that sort of thing, but it's not an annual or 2 or 3 year contract. But nothing changed for me. So there is no reopening in terms of businesses.
Right.
For you guys, even though you're mostly residential, did you see any change during the COVID? And do you see any changes coming out of the COVID?
I was hoping to see changes. I thought that I would be able to get more customers because I work in a school, because everybody was going to be home. The kids were all, using the personal devices, and it surprisingly didn't pan out that way. I was disappointed. But I did make it a point at least to, showcase that I have contact-free drop-off and pickup. We don't ever have to see each other, touch each other, look at each other, breathe on each other. But no, I gotta admit, I didn't see much of a change.
Okay. I didn't either, and I think that's largely because my client base is small. So
me too.
The callback or the frequency, which I would normally hear from these people on a good day, is relatively infrequent, because, like we said, you fix a problem and you're done, unless you have that monthly recurring, where they're more inclined to call you should there be a problem. So I didn't see an impact from that. I, like Ann, was hoping that, hey, everyone's at home, so they're going to run into more problems.
Exactly.
So they're going to call. I even tried a few Facebook posts, maybe a Facebook ad, trying to promote the be safe at home while you're online, and the kids are at home now. You need to, be aware of this, and hey, I can help you out with that stuff. And I didn't get anything from that either. Coming out, it's not going to change either.
Okay.
But I did kind of like try to double down. Again, just the simple thank you cards on the cars at the hospital. As a token, it wasn't really an advertisement, but it has my name on it, so at least my name gets out, and it was genuine. Thank you, and I phrased it in such a way that hey, PC Medics of Richmond, I worked in this field too. I know what you're going through. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Give me a call. I didn't say that, but and double down as well that I started Google AdWords. So that's what I've done during COVID to try to help. And as is usual with the grassroots, that doesn't work all that well. It takes a long time. So I haven't gotten any calls from the postcards, whatever. Because I do ask people, usually at the end of our interaction, hey, how'd you find me?
Yeah.
So I know. And it's so far really it's all been Google. Either pre or post my Google AdWords, but it's always been Google.
Yep.
All right. I just wanted to ask that. I know that I think it was 3 weeks ago when I had Lynn and Lisa on, we were talking about the changes that were happening because of the COVID for them. And I know that it's interesting because I think what may have happened to a lot of people is people that thought they were going to get the residential business. A lot of that business went to the corporate IT.
Mm-hmm. Or
because
school.
I know that I did a lot of home stuff because in order for them to connect back to their office through the VPN or whatever, I had to be the one to certify that their machines, could do that. We had to put our endpoint protection on and do that sort of stuff. So I have a feeling that I stole some business from some people. A girl I helped today has a corporate laptop at the house, wanted to install a personal printer to it, has a family member that supposedly does what I do, but couldn't do it because she didn't have the admin password. So
be careful with, I've learned to be careful with corporate laptops. I was working on a pharma laptop. I will never work on a pharma machine again because I did some stuff that made the pharmaceutical company very unhappy unknowingly. So
did you
just
uninstall all their stuff?
I uninstalled some stuff. I worked around it and they were not happy. So that was the lesson learned the hard way. When it's pharma, you just no thank you, hands off, call your IT guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think if they have IT or if they're under, like I had a kid last week call me, spilt a glass of wine on his laptop.
Oops.
So he brings it by, and as is standard for me, I get the serial number or service tag number, whatever it is, and I hop on HP or Dell or whatever, and I check the warranty, in part because it tells me the date of birth of that computer. So I get a sense of how old stuff is in the computer, right? The hard drive and the memory and everything. And in his case, he purchased the multi-year extended warranty covering accidental damage. So he had warranty. So I contacted him back and said, you got a warranty. So
I've done that too.
So he came by and picked it up, and of course he's thrilled to death that he didn't have to spend money with me to get it fixed. But I didn't feel it was right for me to take his money, at least without not letting him know that he had the option of getting it fixed through Dell. So so if they're under warranty or if they have their own IT, then why am I always I ask that question, then why'd you come to me? Why are you fixing it? So I don't know. That's just me. There were plenty of people who would have just taken the kids' money, and
of course, I'll take the money, but then you also take ownership of the device from that day on. So you ruin whatever warranty they had. So if there is something that that warranty should have taken care of, but you voided it for them. So interesting. All right. So anything else that you guys, do you have any burning questions that you want to ask me or ask each other?
I have a burning question.
Go right ahead.
I just got a phone call today from a 96-year-old woman who needs me to do some work for her. How do I charge a 96-year-old woman who lives alone?
The same way you charge a 95-year-old woman.
Do I just charge her? Really?
Yes. Ugh. And then if she asks for a discount, see what you can do.
She would never ask.
Well, here's the thing. What is it that she wants done?
She wants me to move her computer and help her with, she has visual problems, so she wants me to help her with accessibility options.
So when you say move the computer, like move it from one
literally move it, from one room to another.
Oh, okay.
She's 96. She lives by herself.
Well, that's okay. So what's that going to take you? An hour total?
Exactly. Well, we'll see about the accessibility stuff. That could take longer. Maybe 2 hours. Just charge her. You guys are saying just charge her.
Listen, and I remember a while back you had this conversation with your husband because he would go out and say, "Oh, really? There's nothing really broken. I just fixed a switch. I was in and out in 5 minutes and didn't want to charge anyone." And you were the one jumping up and saying, "No, that's not sustainable. You're not going to have a business if you do that."
Oh,
you're right.
So the pot's calling the kettle black.
But she's 96.
Is her money green?
I know. All right, thanks. This is why I asked, because I needed to hear it.
Just because she's 96, and what we hear all the time is, "Oh, I'm on a fixed income," it doesn't mean she doesn't have money. She could have 500 grand sitting in the bank for all you know. You don't know that.
All right. This is why I asked.
So, don't feel as though just because she's 96, you're going to be taking food off the table from her.
All right.
And don't give her a reason to refer all her other 90-something-year-old friends.
Exactly.
Asking for the same deal you gave her. Because they will do that.
How many 96-year-old friends? I don't think I'm going to get any referrals out of her.
Listen, when you're ready to retire down to Florida, you'll find out. They are here. As our governor said,
what did he say?
Waiting room.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was our governor.
Wow.
Describing how we're handling the COVID situation.
Yikes. Okay.
So we got really started into everything. I didn't ask you guys how you were doing personally through all of this, because I know that with other people, it was a big change. Some of the bigger businesses that had to adjust and things like that, but it doesn't matter about the business. How are you guys doing through all this?
I'm doing great. I'm considered essential personnel, tech aside. Working in automotive, I'm essential. And the businesses that I generally go to day to day is the grocery store and Target and Home Depot and Lowe's. And they remain open too. So I'm not going to say it's had no impact, but my day to day hasn't changed at all. Yep. Now, it really sucks that Carrie and I can't go out to dinner somewhere, or we had a getaway weekend scheduled, a month or so ago that got canceled by the facility. Actually, the hotel called us up and said, yeah, we're closing. So things like that have impacted us, but my day-to-day stuff hasn't changed at all.
Right. My day-to-day stuff has changed. I'm essential, but I've been working from home, doing tech support for the schools from home. So I've been loving it. It's been wonderful. I'm an introvert. Like, I'm a homebody. I'm perfectly happy being at home. So working from home, I don't even have to go to the store. My husband goes to the store. It's been lovely. Now, unfortunately, I have to go back in a couple of weeks, but even that, it's all good.
I think it's funny that she says she likes to stay home because all she ever posts is how she's going out for a hike with Spencer.
But see, that works out perfectly. I'm home doing my work, and then I go for a hike. Like, I'm not missing anything. I don't miss a beat. Marvin, how about you?
I'm busy doing what I do. Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
No. So even when we had the curfew start, I know that everybody was talking about the curfew and stuff. So, my office is 1,000 feet from my home. So I'm not doing the curfew. Of course, I'm not driving out to the beach or doing anything like that. We, for the most part, stayed home. Now, at the beginning of COVID, we had to stay home because the wife was sick and had her issues and couldn't do anything anyway. She's much better now.
Good.
But we're still limited. And she had a birthday last month that we barely celebrated because normally we would take off the weekend and go do stuff, but couldn't do that this time.
But you're healthy.
but we're healthy, and I have a pool, so people still want to come over, and I tried to keep people away, but the wife said I was being mean.
And it's Florida, so there's no rules there. You just do what you want.
That is true. That is true. So any stories to combat Florida man this week?
There's been too much other stuff going on to worry about freaking Florida man.
Come on, we have Florida man all the time.
Oh, I missed him this week. He was not on my radar.
All right. Keith, anything?
No, I'm not really sure what you guys are talking about there, but I'm
you got to start listening to the podcast. That's what you got to start doing.
Okay, well, maybe I'll need to do that. But it's funny you say that, because going back to the business, right? Family, work, life balance. There are times when I'm consistent. Every week I listen to podcasts XYZ, and it's been a while since I've listened. And it's really funny because my work hours obviously fluctuates, as I mentioned, right? Working in retail, different days, different times. So oftentimes, I couldn't catch certain podcasts. They changed their times, new schedules. Marvin, your time fluctuates a little bit. And I said, oh, that's great. Those times work better for me. And for some reason, I still don't seem to catch them. Even if I'm not working, something's going on at home. I don't seem to catch them.
But the whole idea of a podcast is you can listen anytime.
I know, but I try to catch it live, because that way I can actually participate.
Okay.
I really do. I like that. But I do. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll listen. I'll just have it off in the background on the other monitor while I'm working on something else. And Carrie will tell you all the time that sometimes I'll listen to it in bed at night, and I'll fall asleep to a podcast, and then she
Never
has
Marvin's.
And then she has nightmares and dreams about people that she's been hearing, and so that's a whole nother thing. But yeah.
But Florida Man isn't even a podcast thing. That's like it's a thing, right? Like you read, there's just headlines: Florida Man, blah blah blah, whatever.
Oh,
something stupid that follows it. So then it's a whole thing that it's Florida Man.
Okay.
Right. And it's been going on for years. There was a whole series of memes about it. There was actually a podcast called Florida Man, where they literally, I don't know if it was every day, but they would come on and talk about Florida Man stories, because somewhere, if you type in Florida Man and today's date, there's going to be a story. And for instance, in the last 24 hours, here are the titles. Florida man punched police dog, tried to incite riot. All right. Florida man tried stabbing officers with syringe during protest.
Awesome.
Florida man finds $10,000 diamond ring in the ocean. Let me get the rest of that title, because that's a long title. Plans to return it to rightful owner. Where was this at? So he was at the beach, found a woman's diamond ring using a metal detector. Oh, Madeira Beach. That's nowhere near here. That's a nice ring too.
It's an honest person.
It's a big ring. Let's see. Florida man arrested after car break-ins. Florida man was arrested Sunday night and charged with assault with a dangerous weapon after running down 2 demonstrators.
Oh.
Florida man defrauded an Oregon casino. I mean, see, we're all over the place. That's just the last 24 hours.
Wait, Marvin, you let raccoons go swimming in your pool?
So I will answer that. Yes.
Sorry. Squirrel.
So I believe it was 5 years ago.
In this case, raccoon.
I posted a video of our raccoon, Ricky, who was basically swimming in the pool during the day. And we actually got a video of him in the pool. And it was a pretty big hit. Since then, there have been, at times, 4 and 5 raccoons in our backyard.
You're kidding.
He told all his friends.
We get woken up at times to a raccoon party in our pool. And I have not been able to get, I've got little clips of videos that I'm probably going to put together. but I don't have like a long sustained video like I did the first time of all the raccoons together. So I think I need to get a couple of Go cams.
Yeah, absolutely.
And put them out there.
Motion activated security camera there.
And, to do that. But it's not just the raccoon. So we have raccoons, we have possum, we have the green things that freeze, we have supersized lizards. We've got the outside cats. They're bigger than geckos.
Okay, what are green things that freeze?
Iguanas. They were freezing in the trees.
The iguanas.
You missed that one, Keith. Important news events you're missing.
Yeah, I've got a basic ecosystem in the backyard. We've got birds in the morning. We've got frogs. I don't understand it. We're like a half mile from the lake. Oh, and we have duck patrol. We have duck patrol that comes by. So in the mornings, we have the cat Rock. We used to have 2 cats out front. My lady, we had to put down. So Rock is still out there. And when we put the food down, we actually have to be on duck patrol because there are ducks that will come marching down the street to eat the cat food.
Maybe you should sell tickets for the for the wildlife.
It's like a drive-through safari.
Zoo. Yeah,
it's annoying. It is annoying. So Tom, the raccoons still go swimming, and it's not like I let them; they just do.
So Tony Soprano had his ducks. You have raccoons.
Yep, got it all. All right. Well, folks, we've gone over an hour. I want to thank you for spending time with me here on the show, and maybe someday in the future you'll actually listen.
Only if it's live.
So if you've noticed, I've been live a lot lately.
Yes.
Do you prefer it?
I don't know. Depends on the guest, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. They have to be engaging. You know, sometimes it's just like, I don't want to be like, Larry King, trying to,
extract
pull.
answers.
Yeah. Just,
So just have Keith and me on every time because we're engaging.
Napa Valley, New Jersey.
Come on.
But they've been getting better. They have been good. The Friday lunch shows, I don't know if I'm going to continue those the way I've been doing them. We'll see. So I either try to do Wednesday or Friday. I think I'm going to stop doing 2 a week. I need to slow down.
Yep.
And we'll see how it goes.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Anything you guys want to say to the world out there about your business, or if you want people to reach out to you or anything like that?
I can be reached at keith@pcmedicsofrichmond.com. I don't know. I guess that's true. Well, okay. Here's my tip. I've been sitting on this for a week.
Oh.
You gotta have your equipment and your supplies, period. And I ran into this bit of a challenge because I had a laptop screen replacement last week. And I take it apart and there's no screws. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was double-sided tape, the only thing holding that thing together. Fortunately, I had the appropriate tape. No, it wasn't. But had I not had that double-sided tape, I would have been screwed. So make sure you have your stuff.
Good advice.
Interesting.
I do have double-sided tape, right? I'm good.
Well, because there's different thicknesses and the widths and all.
I don't do laptop repair, so
yeah.
I do have double-sided tape, but I use it for a much different reason.
Yeah.
So I'm putting together an outline for an upcoming podcast that I'm going to do called Trust But Verify, and it's all going to be based on my interaction with my client that we moved over the weekend. And they had, just to give you a synopsis, they have 2 different table companies doing the table jobs for the same space.
Why?
So I didn't find out until Monday. So apparently they had a contract with the building, and the building had their cable person, who's actually an electrician, to run the cable. And they were only contracted to do X number of cables. So anything extra has to be done by the client. And instead of the client just using the existing person, they actually put it out to bid and gave that job to another company. So I have 2 cable companies stepping on each other's toes.
That's awesome.
And I have found issues with both companies. And it is just unbelievable. And I can't believe I have to do what I did. But I think I scared the electrician to death because I came in with my testers and he's like, "You're not going to find a problem." And literally he would try to follow me around to see if I found a problem. I'm like,
looking over your shoulder.
Just do your job. I wouldn't have to do this. But so I'm doing an entire show on that, dealing with the 2 contractors, dealing with the client who didn't plan properly. And we found out Friday at 4:00 that they didn't even have the installation of the internet scheduled.
Oh, that's kind of an important one.
Yeah. So that was fun. So trust but verify.
I like it.
See if I can pull that show together. All right. So guys, thank you again very much. I want to thank everybody that watched live and participated in the chat. I would like to give a very good shout out to the Rosa family for participating this evening. And Napa Valley, we should have had your folks on here.
Yeah, my folks are doing their thing. What green machine?
The green machine.
I don't know.
So the green machine is the upgraded. It's the upgraded name for the. It used to be the Fluke tools. They were all yellow.
Oh, is that what she's talking about? I'm glad you know. Oh, wait, because didn't somebody buy Fluke or something?
Net Ally.
Okay.
Well, first they were bought by Net Scout, and then they turned into Net Ally. So everything's a Net Ally tool now. Yeah, she's right there. She's Fluke. Your wife is, man. She is on target with stuff. She really listens at the conferences.
That's awesome.
I tried to give her the
Maybe
title.
She listens to my podcast.
I tried to give her the title early on to be, vice president of marketing and social media, but she didn't want to take it.
Well, what were you going to pay her?
Yeah, you got to sweeten the offer.
The same thing I get paid. Because you want to be on equal footing.
Of course. Yeah. You can't pay the wife more than you, right?
Oh, God.
All right. We're going to end the live show here, folks. Once again, thank you for listening and watching the show live. Be sure to head over to podnuts.com and get information on some of the other great podcasts we have. Go to the show notes page for Podnuts Pro. We'll have all the links there. If you want to support the show, click on the Amazon link that I have. You go to the Amazon store, buy everything that you normally do, same price, just a little bit comes back to the show to help support some of these live shows that we do, pay for the hosting, things like that. And that's going to do it for this episode of Podnuts Pro. Listen in the future to help you run your business better, smarter, faster. And until next time, holla.
Holla.